My name is Leeroy. I am an artist and designer. I do mostly large-scale interactive structures and spatial constructions in public spaces, but also in different interior spaces. My work also moves in between different creative industries, from film to theater to performance to product design and costuming and fashion. I called the installation Mebuyan's Colony. Mebuyan is a goddess of death and fertility in Bagobo mythology. She is described as having breasts all over her body because in their cosmology, spirits of the deceased still have to continue on a journey in the afterlife, as well as the spirits of dead children. So she has to nourish them in order for them to grow into adult spirits so they can continue on to their journey. So in that sense, the colony, these pods, are references to her appearance, and the pods are also spaces for transformation in the same way that she helps transforms these spirits of children into adult spirits, into spirits that are capable of continuing on a journey. Well, the work is inspired by many different sources that I've encountered in my life. I am fascinated with pre-colonial mythology, along with sci-fi culture, visions of the future and how it is imagined, and how this genre relates to me specifically as a Filipino. So the work itself is a confluence of all these different fascinations of mine, as well as my attempt to integrate current issues through it being a platform for me being able to collaborate with different specialists like environmental scientists, performance artists. I hope that this work becomes an occasion for all these different ideas to come together. The work was conceptualized pre-COVID. The concepts, the themes, and ideas are similar still, but there was a renewed and extra focus on this idea of integrating agricultural systems into the structure, as well as using discards, material discards, as a viable structural material for the installation. So in this case, we are using plastic bottle discards, reconfiguring them as transparent, translucent cladding for these pods. In a way, it will resemble a kind of elevated greenhouse. We'll have agricultural systems integrated into the structure as well. Everything will be exposed and visible for people to learn from how the system works. I'm working with Jose Felix, who is an environmental scientist, who will help me determine how to integrate all these different systems into the different pods. The different pods will highlight different ideas related to agriculture, will showcase different approaches and strategies for contemporary agriculture. We'll be growing food inside, in the interiors of the pods, as well as the exteriors of the pods. In theory, by the end, there will be a second layer of organic material that envelopes the structure. I think it's important to showcase how artists can join in the fight of providing viable solutions. In the case of this particular work, I am offering it up to different collaborators. There's a point where it ends, where my involvement diminishes, and it is passed on to the people who are invited to use it. I want to open it up to different ways of engagement and activation. During the pandemic, there was this kind of renewed awareness of food security and scarcity of resources and how people self-organize to feed their communities. This is kind of like inspired by all those things that has happened in the past. I myself was part of this local community pantry in our village, led by a group of artists as well. And during the start of the pandemic, me and a lot of my peers in the creative industry converted their studios to create PPEs, improvised PPEs. After all that, there's this spirit where it's not just about making beautiful individual art objects anymore. It's about highlighting these ideas that are important to us. Hence, the desire to open up the platform, to not just showcase my work myself, but also it becomes a platform for all these different collaborators that I'll be working with. So it's not just one environmental scientist, like I'm also meeting someone who is engaged in growing mushrooms, and then people who are part of seedling banks. It's growing, and I hope that it highlights the need to discuss these issues that directly relate to benefiting the communities that we move in, that we live in. One thing that I've gotten good at during the pandemic was sourcing from my immediate network of friends, mga discards, plastic bottle discards nila. Since late last year, I've done many different experiments with how to use the plastic bottles. So this time, we're attempting to create as many different ways to use the plastic bottle as a structural, architectural, material. Something that can act as a barrier between the plants inside and the harsh changing weather that we have. I have some experience in building large structures, but for this one, it might be one of the longer temporary installations that I'll be doing. No? So we're hoping that this structure will stay here for a year. We'll do like tours, we'll do cook-offs, we'll do harvesting, we'll do like some form of training when it comes to growing food and setting up agricultural systems. It's kind of like a curated travel already. So after all that is set, then we can proceed with cladding the structure with the plastic bottle constructions. At the same time, we will already start integrating the components for the different agricultural systems. And bit by bit, we'll start integrating the plants.
So my role here in completing Mebuyan's colony is to really showcase the different agriculture technologies that have been developed here in the Philippines, both by large corporations like Farm Ready and also commercial farmers like me. Here, we want to showcase biotechnologies like growing different plants and adapting to the climate of the Philippines, adapting to the increasing heat, adapting to climate change. Also, making the lives of the farmers easier in terms of their labor, in terms of their operations, by giving them simple engineering techniques like drip irrigation, which will, of course, help them increase their productivity and what they can do in a day of farming. Science is also a form of art. We have been trying to incorporate nature and science and technology into art. And I think having this setup with Leeroy is a beautiful way of showing what bioarchitecture, what agriculture can do in an urban setting. I take this as a challenge to grow in an urban setting. Urban farming is not really feasible, but we want to support and showcase to the urban communities that we actually also know how to grow our vegetables, and we can actually grow them as well if we have extra space.
For the progress of Mebuyan's colony, the sponsor companies like Ramgo and Farm Ready have brought in more of their plants and more of their seedlings to be showcased.
We decided to engage in this activity because we are one with Felix and Leeroy in creating awareness for the people around the community, especially here in the urban city, that we can address food security by growing our own food. What Ramgo did was each pod, we composed different elements and ideas. You see lots of flowers there. We have sunflowers, we have petunias, marigold, vinca zinnia. So these crops or these flower crops are well suited in our environmental conditions. Also, we have vegetable green crops, so easy to grow crops, we call it. We have the kangkong, pechay, mustard, pak choy, even, indigenous crops like alugbate, or they call it Malabar spinach. As we all know, agriculture is a science and art. So it is a science and art of cultivating the land and raising livestock. So we at Ramgo International Corporation is a part of this agriculture industry business. We are promoting the accessibility of the materials that all in the community can use. Second is the promotion of home gardening for the hobbyists or urban gardeners, letting people know that they can grow their own food. Lastly, we strive to continuously discover products, example, more resistant varieties, different and new ideas, organic inputs that can be used sustainably in the future.
Farm Ready is one of the biggest and the pioneer company of vegetable seedling nurseries in the Philippines. It's established in 2008, and it sets the standards of vegetable seedling quality and innovation. So we are the subsidiary of one of the biggest seed company in the Philippines, so that's East West Seed. We joined them because this is to inspire people to engage in growing vegetable or produce their own food at home. In this art, we have what we call the ready to plant. So we put there the ready to plant leafy vegetables. Farm Ready is not only offering vegetable seedling, so we also put some ornamentals. With this, we will show where they can get the ready to plant. Malalaman ng mga tao na meron palang available na ready to plant at ready to grow na they can grow at home and then they can harvest at early stage.
There were challenges and setbacks faced, especially in urban farming, which is something that is very apparent in everyday growers for urban agriculture, as we try to make sure that our products and our vegetables are clean and safe for consumption. For me, urban agriculture really becomes more like a subsidizing factor for the food security of urban settings. But it can never replace the majority of the supply that we grow in the country. Different technologies have been developed and different products have been developed to make urban farming easier, especially the products that are from Ramgo and Farm Ready. They support a lot of urban farmers and a lot of growers in terms of making it easier for them to grow the vegetables for beginners and for professionals alike. So for the culminating activity, we could look forward to a variety of different plants, leafy vegetables, fruits like tomatoes, eggplants, all of different varieties, shapes and sizes, and flavor profiles. You will be able to see how to harvest them, the different flavors, and how to prepare them so that we could enjoy our vegetables.